children hunting robots, robots mimicking children, singing bears and extinct bears. The Five Nights at Freddy's story has always been somewhat obvious through the course of the years. Two teams, a duality between good and bad, consequences, and a bunch of murder. But where are we now? Was this planned from the beginning? Spoiler alert, no, I don't think so, but listen, as mentioned in the beginning of the video, the story is pretty clear. But for this instance, I'll have to divide it into two stories that eventually collide into one, but then divide again. Disclaimer, the following data compilation is solely based on the games. That's right, no books, no movies, just the games. So let's get into it. Story number 1. Edwin Murray. This doesn't go in any particular chronological order, but since Secret of the Mimic is the last installment of the FNAF lore, I'll talk about it first. So we know the story, even by memory. But yeah, I guess I can make a quick recap for those who want to hear it for 100th time. Son inherits that factory. Son meets beautiful and kind woman. They fall in love. Son has crisis and wants to rebrand Dish. Makes inventions, marries the girl, has a boy named David. Inventions go boom in the market, then womp womp because they're unstable. Wife dies. Then wife talks via radio. Wife now a robot who thinks she's really wife. Wait, who cares about David? Oh yeah, the robot wife. But then son also dies. And robot wife now lives in basement but wants robot son, and Edwin can't do anything good that's not a vacuum robot, so they all go nanite. Factory goes boom, then burns down, but bad violent robot either stays willingly put or we put it to sleep through like 100 years into the future. And scene. First story, am I right? Please, am I right? I don't even know anymore. Let's put a pin on that wife robot and bad violent robot, shall we? So, story number 2. William Afton. Once again, we know the story by heart in... What? A recap? Oh my god! Billy Boy meets Henry Boy. Best friends forever. Billy Boy is now Bunny Boy, and Hen Hen is Freddy Boy. And together they create/manage Fredbear's Family Diner. But mascots are kinda boring, so let's introduce robots. Bunny Boy and Freddy Boy now commission one of the best, but also very tortured, contractors when it comes to robots. They crack the whip, everyone dies again, so Bunny Boy says, hey, new home, new factory, new me. Somehow, because the lore works in mysterious ways, Bunny Boy has 3 children, Michael, Elizabeth, and let's call him Little Boy for now. No wife that we know of. Freddy Boy has 1 child only, Charlotte, aka Charlie. In the spawn of a still blurry timeline, a bunch of murders happen, kids die, Little Boy gets chomped, and Charlie gets murdered. Afton patented. Freddy Boy gets really mad and disappears, apparently. The diners go to poopy, other businesses are open or put into the spotlight thanks to Fredbear's absence, and oh, there he goes, Elizabeth just died. Billy Boy makes weird experiments with kids and presumably people. He gets
spring luck.
And Michael, aka Afton Jr., follows swiftly and gets scooped. Robots go rogue, a new pizzeria opens. Whoop, nope, it was fake. Let's all burn to death. Well, I sure hope Afton is really gone after all this time. Oh shit. Anyway, give it up for story number 2, guys. So, in terms of games, where did the story go? In the beginning, let's take FNAF 1 till, let's say, Ultimate Custom Night as a reference. Some things are still being discussed to this day, but one thing that we can be sure of is the Afton family, mainly William obviously, was the focus of the story. Yeah, we're night guards in the sense of, yes, we indirectly discovered the story via newspapers, Easter eggs, phone guy dropping lore casually, whatever. This was the prime of the Aftons. Crying child, Michael, Elizabeth, they're all introduced and killed in this story. Also, this is up to where I'm convinced Scott planned-ish, because there's some stuff in there that maybe winked. Not that the following stories aren't Scott's. I just think that the next games marked a big difference to the franchise's direction, and consequently, to the main story. Enter FNAF Hell Wanted to Secret of the Mimic. We're introduced to virtual worlds, augmented reality, the idea that Fazbear Entertainment created a bunch of, hear me out, fake scenarios in the form of video games retelling the past story as if it was just a silly legend, something that never happened, and gossip that gave Fazbear a bad reputation. Anyway, there are some context clues that are worth decoding, but my main point with this is that we're introduced to the new era, AI. From this point towards whatever the end of the story is, or if this is just the beginning, AI is the protagonist. So now we're being introduced to glitch consciousness, to be discussed, sentient robots, pizzaplexes seemingly being controlled by other robots. I'm looking at you, Fiona. And that's it. Until this very moment of the video, everything I said is canon. And listen, before you jump me, I know Burn Trap is a thing, I know what he looks like, I know there's what looks like fresh flesh on there, but I just, it has been years since this motherfucker. Now, you may ask, when are we gonna get to the point? Well, right now. After Secret of the Mimic drop, our world also kinda did. MCM and the Mimics shatter reality not because of their existence, but because the date they existed in, the 1970s. Which brings me to, goddammit Scott, now it looks like you planned the whole thing since the beginning. Warning, headcanon approaching. Let's pretend the parachute ending is the true ending. We run away with a data diver, the whole factory and Edwin's house burns to the ground, which kind of fixes possible layout inconsistencies with the house Afton lives in, and a pizzaplex 100% accuracy with MCM. By now, most of the blueprints and schematics were already recovered. Some animatronics and costumes, as in Ruin, could have survived the fire, as we know there were layers upon layers of God knows what in between the factory, Murray's house, and the whole land. The Mimic follows Arnie and presumably kills him. Then it goes back to research and development, or the house. It doesn't matter, the point is it goes back and hides there because it is somewhat attached to the place. And if the program really learned anything, is that is where it belongs. Mimicking David, Edwin's rage, even the mascots and other animatronics, it really doesn't matter because by logic, they all belong to MCM. So no. I'm sorry guys, I don't think it took a sabbatical and sipped some coconut water in the Bahamas. It returned to what its program told it to do, go home. So now our fellow Billy Boy enters the premises, seeing Edwin is gone, then there's no more need to pretend. Takes his house, factory, and oh my, what is that? He encounters the Mimic hiding in the Proto Pizzeria and also Afton and 4, tucked away, on standby mode. Talk about 2 for the price of 1. By this time, either curiosity or actual necessity motivates William to study the Mimic. The option of William finding him 2 in Afton and 4 is very important for the future of the franchise. Like the future of it. For Fiona to still be relevant as of today, she needed to be plugged in. After all, she's a machine. And because she goes into standby mode, now more than ever, she needs someone to find her and make sure she still has power to survive at least another 80 years into the future. One can argue that the Hell Wanted 2 teaser for Secret of the Mimic literally shows how the Fazbear Entertainment van drove away with mixes as a way of saying, hey, so we took Fiona. But either way, Afton is eventually going to get his greasy hands on it, so it's just a matter of semantics. Fiona ends up being Fazbear Entertainment's property anyway. In the same vein, M2 being aggressive, but Afton being the absolute psychopath that he is, yeah, if anything, the Mimic will be impressed by the guy's ability to subdue it. Afton is smart, a genius actually. His work in Sister Location is proof of it. He finds a way to briefly disable M2, learns the program, makes a copy of it, polishes some things, and boom! Fazbear Entertainment now has a set of seemingly stable Mimic programs. All before the 2000, heck, even before 1985. So if, let's say, at least 2 Fazbear restaurants are open at the same time, in different locations, and they always have been on a budget, why not using that new technology into teaching the endoskeletons the approved Fazbear shows and songs? Conveniently eliminating the Springlock suits and stopping all the quote-unquote bad rep that it made for the restaurants after quote-unquote several incidents. Does that sound like Fazbear Entertainment? Oh yeah. All this is happening while he makes his other experiments. Melting metal and killing kids. The usual. So, killing kids, you said? In a golden bunny old mascot? Inside a pizzeria? Huh. I wonder who could have learned to that and mimic it years after, but struggling to survive as it doesn't have a body anymore because after all the disassembling, it needs a vessel to actually perform what it learned. Ah yes, what I like to call the Afton mimic. If the mimic program was distributed to endoskeletons that were present in all of the installments of FNAF, then it literally had eyes everywhere, since the beginning. Learning and collecting information through the years. Information that, like a hive mind, eventually made its way back to Fiona's database. Let's not forget that, perfected or not, the programming still needs a skeleton, something called a code base, where all the information to function is stored, where it needs to perform the task it was designed to. And that goes back to Edwin and F10 and 4/M1. Edwin made the code base, and Afton based it on it. Once in Fiona's database, learning all of Afton's disgusting acts, it starts to follow programming and wants to protect his child. The child that, no matter the effort, still acts violent. So it starts plotting, but without a body and anyone that will actually hear it and perform for it, there's no use. Nothing can be done. Until the franchise goes to poopy and Fazbear Entertainment had to dissolve, so it was a great opportunity to transition to Fazbear Entertainment LLC. Acting through a placeholder, it acquires the franchise. With everybody else dead and nobody to stop it, and the new age of technology, nobody ever had to see her face. Everything is done online, so nobody cares. Thanks to John FNAF, we now know about the paperclip problem and how it affects the programming boundaries of AI and their tasks. Part of his program, or at least what it learned from Alive Fiona, is that she was in charge of the Fazbear project, so it had to be done. It rebranded, make Help Wanted to be a game that cleared up their name so people would trust them again, hire technicians, developers, management, advertisement. There was no need to buy land or look for a place to rent. Let's build a pizzaplex right here. It evolved, became contemporary, but at the same time, its code wasn't. It turned back on what it already knew. A file fist? No, that never happened. Ended horribly. Spring-lock suits? No, that never happened. Ended horribly. Then, animatronics. Well, yeah. Obviously a bear, chicken, bunny, alligator, fox, dog. No, wait, it has to be bear, chicken, bunny, and fox. Yeah. But the bunny ended horribly, so it might as well have a little vacation and make the alligator friend a better fit. And pirates are so old, but you know what? Maybe a wolf won't be so bad. Just remember to put her 2 eyes now. You don't want to scare David. Everything is going according to plan until... Huh? What is that? A virus? Some sort of glitch? It's messing with the animatronics. And the kid? Where did he come from? Who hired this Vanessa Guard and why is everything falling apart? Without being cautious enough, part of a circuit board that was infected with Afton Mimic was scanned into the main database of the program Fiona pressured the developers to make. Unbeknownst to it, the glitch hit and traveled to the Pizzaplex, where rumor has it, William Afton's body resides. Up until this point, I've told the whole story and the whole thing is so poetically beautiful but astronomically flawed. Why? Simply because it has never been mentioned in the older games. This is pure storytelling that fits damn well. And call me crazy, but for a while there, I believe Scott planned this since the beginning. There was a question floating around all the yapping I just did. Where did the story go? Well, to AI. Since the beginning or since the middle, however you want to see it, it all boils down to AI. The mimic, or in this case mimics, the story that once was relevant is now its own story, worthy of still decoding. And the story that we're living now is not the same. Not for me. Not after the mimic, and certainly not after the Ruin Mimic and Burn Trap, Glitch Trap, Vanity Mask, Princess Quest, Moon.exe, you name it. For me, Possession, Angry Spirits, Remnant, or whatever Afton had going on at first, was laid to rest by Ultimate Custom Night. I mean, you could say Old Man Consequences really spoke to me, because I really left the demon to its demons, and whatever new installment of that same demon, yes, in a way immortalized himself, but mostly the idea of himself, his actions. And listen, yeah, I don't want to reduce the importance of F10 and 4 to its programming or M2 or whatever Afton mimic we could be dealing with to only that, but at the same time, we can't deny the program. It is still unstable, it still can learn good and bad things alike, it still can go rogue and decide to complete its task by any means necessary. It just doesn't make it the real Afton, and it doesn't make it a real wife, let alone the real Fiona. So this is my current theory, my current delusion that I've decided to live in. But anyways, guys, you can share your point of view while being respectful. Thank you, detectives. I'll see you on the next one.